Welcome back to the Virgo channel. My name is Laura. I'm going to do a general message for Virgo. Know that energy is fluid, roles could be reversed. Interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Thank you guys for being patient with me. I know that I haven't been on as often. I'm still kind of dealing with a lot of stuff here at home. I want to thank everyone for being patient. I want to thank all of you guys for your prayers and your blessings and your warm wishes for me. I really do appreciate it. I just wanted to put that out there. Now, if you guys are new to my channel, know that this is a shadow healing channel. So I do look at everything. We do see why your person does what they do and what they're going to do. But we also want to see what your spiritual blocks are and why certain karmic themes continue to play out within your life and what you need to do to actually integrate and transmute that negative energy so that you can attract the situations and the people and the, scenarios that you want to. All right. Now, if you want to enter into winning a free reading with me, know that I am really far behind because I haven't done any lives. And everybody knows I'm kind of waiting for my husband to transcend. So we feel like it's only another few weeks. So as soon as I get on afterwards, I will, as soon as that happens, I'll be on more often. Um, it's devastating. It's really hard. It's very emotional, and I don't want to even talk about it because I'm going to start crying, and I don't want to cry. I'll probably be crying all the time when I do live streams in the beginning. I don't want to, but I am a highly sensitive person. I mean, it is my psychic ability, but the double edge to being highly sensitive means that you're extremely emotional. So, grounding's a challenge, but you get good psychic readings. And that, again, is the flip side to being highly sensitive and grounding that emotional energy. All right, guys. Again, I want to thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you guys. Thank you for being in my life. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for being patient with me. All right. Now I was saying if you want to enter into winning free reading with me, it is a few months out, but I will plan on going back to all the videos and picking someone. So definitely give a like, subscribe to the channel, write the word of the video in your comment bar. The word of the video is always the underlining energy that tells me why everyone's doing what they're doing, right? We want to know that because when people are not coming from their true self, they wear a mask. And then here you are, you're like, okay, I thought we had a connection. And here you are, you're acting like you don't give a flying fuck. So again, we want to know why that person does what they do and what they're going to do and why we attract people into our life that tend to do that maybe. Again, there's always a reason is what I'm trying to get at within every story that plays out. We always ask why, because that's going to help you transcend the limitations of your own perceptions about yourself. And how do you heal? Through the thoughts that you think and the emotions that you have. Really, healing is not just awareness, but embodying the new consciousness, which is the whole integrating and transmuting the spiritual block. A lot of times I get, does everybody have to transmute the spiritual blocks, or will I ever get into a normal relationship if I don't transmute the spiritual block because I've been living the same types of undesirable life experiences? I keep dating the same types of people that emotionally aren't there, or are cheaters or liars, or whatever the situation. And unfortunately, the answer is yes. It's what we resist persists. So even if you stopped dating, you would attract people that still held that energy. Because again, there's a consciousness, and that consciousness you're holding because you haven't learned from it. When we haven't learned from it, our brain hold that perception. The reptilian mind holds on to it. The reptilian mind's all about your survival. Your emotional survival, your psychological survival is just as important as your physical survival. So unfortunately, what happens is you're holding on to this limited consciousness of whatever it is. Let's just say you were with a narcissist. So you're afraid, oh, I don't want to date another narcissist. So unconsciously, you get into the relationship where you create like all these rules and all these barriers. And what you're doing is you're creating walls to unconditional love because the focus is on what you're afraid, not on what you can truly have. And it's because you've embodied already what you didn't want instead of what you do want. So healing, again, the effects of trauma is actually the whole integration process, is to be able to go through an experience, similar experience, but see yourself different, see a different outcome. Otherwise, there's a sense that we stay in a level of consciousness. And so whatever happens on the physical realm has happened in the spiritual realm, and the spiritual realm is of the mind. Remember, you're only in physical form to learn and to manifest. So the word of the video is neglect and self-neglect. And so you're going to write that word in your comment bar. This is the underlying energy. And I'm kind of feeling like you're in connection with someone that neglected to give you anything, and they're neglecting themselves. I feel like the irony of this connection is that this person does have feelings. I just feel like that they don't give anything to any, like they're very like cerebral. They're overthink everything. And I feel like they are someone that has a low self-esteem. So they come across as someone that is very self-righteous, someone that like doesn't have a care in the world. But the truth of the matter is that they don't feel good about themselves. And I feel like this person is used of dating lower hanging fruit, so where they don't have to do anything. So I feel like even though they had a connection with you, they didn't give anything to you. But I also feel like this person like doesn't really give themselves anything, where they might buy themselves stuff, but they don't work on themselves. I feel like they have a lot of root chakra imbalances. There's someone that's not very connected to the world. I feel like they don't have good friendships. They don't really feel secure in anything, in any area of their life. And because that they don't really like themselves. And because they don't like themselves, I feel like they tend to, escape. And they escape through smoking a little bit too much pot, drinking too much, outside things, but to the point that it started to affect their physical health. So, and they haven't given you anything, but they kind of treat people the way that they treat themselves. So there's all this negative energy, and it's a real, like I said, root chakra imbalance. When a person like doesn't take pride in who they are, to that they don't care whether they live, whether they die, whether they, and it shows because of how much effort they put into themselves. So this might be a person that parties all the time. Like that's their priority. Their priority is to go from relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship. But again, they don't work on themselves. They might buy themselves things so that it appears like they have their shit together. But it's again, there's no substance to them. And so I feel like I said, you are connected to someone that from the outside, they look like someone that has their shit together, right? Someone that dress really well, drive a nice car, maybe even own a business or have a good job, something that really shows that you have your shit together, you're a good catch. But I feel like they're an empty shell. It's like, again, they didn't create themselves. It's like they created outside things to kind of make themselves. And I feel like the reason why that happened is because they didn't come from a strong and stable environment, They came from a very codependent environment. So again, things became more important, more than the actual relationship. I feel like there was a lack of money. So the focus for this person, they put everything into, again, finances and that, and they attract low vibrational people because people that see them again for their money. This person leads with their money, but it's again, they're an empty shell because it's not just about going to work and coming home. That makes it very boring. I don't even feel like this person has a luster for what they do anymore. They're good at what they do, but do they love what they do? No, I feel like they need a break from what they do. So again, they're neglecting themselves in the emotional department. And I feel like that's because they've only witnessed a bad relationship and then got into bad relationships. And so this person doesn't even know how to be in a relationship. They just, like I said, they just feel like, well, if I have a lot of money, people are going to want to be with me for my money. And I'm fine with that because it's, again, I can compartmentalize it. And then, I'll almost treat like sex as like a business exchange, like might go out with you, we'll go to dinner, we'll have a good night, we'll have sex, but it's like, and that's it. It's like, I don't want anything else. I don't want anything else from you. And I feel like because they get into relationships with people that agree to do that, it's again a low vibe people that say one thing but then do another. It's like they're like, yeah, 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 well, that's okay. But then when push comes to shove, those people are like, you're not going to use me. And then they try and make the relationship into what they want it to be. So your person has a very poor perception of what relationships are because they grew up in an environment that was codependent. I feel like their mother was in one too many bad relationships and they actually witnessed that. And some of those relationships, those people were not nice to them. So that's for some. And then the other was just a bad codependent relationship. And a bad codependent relationship is where the one person like pretty much does whatever the fuck they want, and the other people like scurry around that one person, like where the focus is on that one person's emotional state. And there's usually alcohol involved. There's usually money issues. They're usually, one person knows how to make money, the other person's not making any money. The relationship was built on sex, nothing else. So again, this codependent relationship with dysfunction. And unfortunately, then it's like your person did try and, become something, but they put all their eggs into like creating like a business or to become financially stable in getting a good job, that there's nothing else except for that job. There's no real relationships. There's no real like luster for life, passion for life. It's just almost like you're living through for your addictions, right? Because that's what it is. You're living from such a low vibrational frequency. And so here it is, you come along and I don't feel like you're someone that's like that. I feel like you're someone that nurtures the connection. You're someone that nurtures yourself rather. And so when you get into a relationship, you're someone that would nurture the connection. This person saw that. And so like, I feel like they're someone that is very intuitive themselves and that they definitely felt a connection, but I feel like that connection kind of scared them. It was because this person has addictions, right? They're codependent. They have like obsessive compulsive behavior because of the environment that they grew up in, right? People that don't create themselves. What happens is that they're just going along and they're on autopilot. And like I said, to get that dopamine hit, they do drugs, they, have multiple relationships, they have very reckless behavior. Well, again, now, because of that, they also tend to be very obsessive, like when they feel like they can't have something, right? So here it is, this person neglected you, and I think that they expected you to come running after them, talking to them, whatever it is. And I feel like it's because this person, I think that they felt like you were very naive, because it's like this person has a big ego. I feel like they led with, my past relationship that was so horrible. Because again, everybody's the victim, everybody, they're always the victim. Everybody, rather, that they date is someone that is going to betray them, is again that has betrayed them. And I feel like you didn't know this person, you never dealt with a narcissist before, not on this level anyway. And so I feel like you tried to comfort this person. And I feel like you were like, oh, I think that you're a good person. I think that you should try love again. Or I think that you're a nice, like, again, good person, or whatever you said to this person to make them feel like you cared. Right. So it's like they really believed that you were going to give more because of it. That's not what happened. And as soon as you pulled back from this person, you triggered abandonment with inside of them. So it was almost like as soon as abandonment hit, now they're stuck in a place of obsessive. This obsession of wanting to connect, almost like, again, triggering something from their childhood of when they didn't have a parent. Now, a lot of times when we grow up in an environment where our parents are really codependent on each other, they're not capable, obviously, of giving us the emotional needs that we need. So it's like emotionally, one parent's checked out, caring too much about that other parent that emotionally isn't giving them what they need. So, or creating some sort of drama within the connection, because there's codependency with addictions. There's one person that, everyone has to fix their secrets. And like I said, because there's all that, this person didn't create a childhood, didn't create a life. They had too many things. So if they didn't go along with it, their parent would be angry, and there's a sense of, again, abandonment. So it's almost like now this child identified with abandonment with love. And now they're grown up and they're no longer a child. They're no longer living in that environment. And now they're still associating abandonment with love, because they don't really believe that they can have love. So that what happens is that they sabotage it because they didn't give anything to it. But they didn't give anything to it because they never really believed that they could have it. So we see how there's a big karmic loop. And that's without even pulling any cards yet, okay? This is just the underlining energy. Now, sometimes the underlining energy does go into, like, again, childhood traumas, because we wouldn't understand why the hell this person is, why a person likes me, but they're neglecting me. That sounds like half-ass nonsense, because all we hear is if a person doesn't give you anything, they don't like you. They don't like themselves. So a person that doesn't like themselves, they don't know how to give. They're too afraid of abandonment. They're too afraid of that neglect. So again, in the fact that they're so afraid of being neglected, they neglect. They're not asking for what they need. They play games. They manipulate. But they're not emotionally intelligent. And again, we have to say, well, where that fucking shit didn't come from me. No, what we're telling you is this person is coming into your life broken, majorly broken, with addictions, with compulsive obsession disorder, with detachment disorder. They're not emotionally intelligent, so they're coming to you extremely broken. But again, they wear a mask, so they're not going to come across that way. They're going to come across self-righteous. They're gonna project a lot of stuff. They're going to judge and not be able to deal with being judged. There's going to be a lot of drama again, and so almost this person, like I said, is just haunted by their, but they just are haunted by their past, and not even the people that they dated, but again, that family environment. And so people that are haunted in their past, they're holding on to the energy, obviously, of their past. They're looking at the current situation through a very distorted lens, and that lens is based on all the past experiences that this person has ever gone through. So they don't want you to see that. That's embarrassing for this person. So again, they're going to come across as, again, the opposite of what they are, which is self-righteous and like always like in search of something, something to fulfill them. And that is because of the addictions. This person like needs to always get that dopamine hit. Again, people that have these spiritual imbalances, they have low energy. When you have a root chakra imbalance, it affects your adrenals because the endocrine gland that's associated with that root chakra is the adrenals. So the person's actually in fight, flight, or freeze every time they're around somebody that they like, somebody that they have feelings. They have severe anxiety over it because they don't really believe that they can have it. What they know is that they've been neglected. And so everything has been based on that. It's like almost like the person that grew up in that dynamic only knows how to recreate those same dynamics in order to feel good, but they don't feel good once they're actually in the connection. It takes a lot of work to be in that type of connection too. But so it's almost like where this person like thrives on trauma, which again, they grew up in that type of dynamic where it's codependent. One person's doing all the work, so you're dealing with the one parent that's very angry because the other parent is not emotionally there, is not contributing, is making them feel not good enough. There's not a lot. There's living from a place of lack and limitation. So again, this person grew up in a place of feeling as if they were a problem, if that there was something wrong with them. And then, even though they have a good job, they didn't create a life for themselves. There's a reason why it says be like childlike in the Bible. It's because children go out and they explore without expectation, without like needing it to be anything. There was nothing but expectation put on this person. So the problem is that that's who they are. I feel like they get into connections with people where they expect, where again, it's like so terrified of becoming attached. And it's because they know that they only create those codependent relationships where they commit too soon. And instead of it becomes a need. I need it instead of like I want it. It's like this person like will loses themselves in the connection. It's like they're extremely codependent. They don't have an identity. They're a chameleon. They meet the person, they become everything that you want them to be, but they're not that. Then they get into the relationship, and then they mold to that person, And then what happens is it's uncomfortable, it's boring, no one wants to do it, and then they abandon. And so the dynamic is this like very narcissistic energy of, again, coming in because they're insecure, really hard, fast love bombing, doing everything, becoming everything you want them to become, just so that they can feel comfortable. And the way that they, again, are comfortable is to really form attachments. And that's because they don't have an individuality. That's second chakra now. We're going to go up to the second chakra. The first chakra is individuality, it's connection to the physical body, the physical world, the physical elements of the physical world. And it's really our connection to God, God that works through us. And again, how well we're connected to the physical world, like it said. This person's up in their head all the time. Again, trying to strategize. They're in survival mode. Again, that root chakra. And again, that's why they get overstimulated. Puts a lot of pressure on them when they're in relationships. Now, the second chakra is your individuality. This person has too many spiritual blocks where they haven't created themselves. So there's too many masks this person wears. Again, facades. So they have major intimacy issues, which is trust issues. So again, abandonment, neglect. You're going to neglect me, you're going to abandon me. So they come in, they overgive, overdo, become everything you want them to be until they're comfortable. Then they don't want it anymore. Then there's a sense of, again, feeling uncomfortable. Now that here it is that you finally let your guard down, you finally let this person in. And this is a repeating pattern where this person gets into connections to only leave the connection in ruins. And there's an addiction to that this person like is addicted to that drama. And it's because, again, they don't really believe that they can be in a connection. They don't really feel like they meld with anyone. And that's because, again, they grew up in an environment where they didn't learn the tools. I feel like when they grew up in that environment with the one angry parent that always, had the responsibility of everything, and then the other parent that didn't really want them, or so it felt, that didn't want them, or they weren't around. There was a sense of them, being the fixer, the healer, and the family. So they weren't able to go out and create themselves. They became the fixer, and that's why when they get into relationships, they also do that, and they don't really want to do that. They've been conditioned to do that because they don't have an identity. It's, again, their identity. It's, again, where you lose your time, your energy, focusing your money. It can't just be work and home. The person just went to work and came home, their life was boring. So of course, they're still walking around with all those childhood wounds where they feel inadequate. Of course you do, because you haven't figured out who you are yet. And like dealing with them, it's like if you tried to tell them, it's like they would make it like you were the bad person, but it's like it's because they feel like they're the bad guy. They're like they're someone that has so many shadows that if you try and talk to them, they project everything back onto you. They're like, you have turned everything and everyone against me, as I have become the bad guy in your picture. So I feel like, again, if they don't get what they want, it's, again, they tend to be like, they might just tell everybody their side of the story, try and shade it so that it's like you're the problem. Again, so that, gaslight. Remember, this person grew up in an environment where I feel like all these games were played on them by their parents, or they watched that one parent play all these games to another parent, because that it was an extremely codependent, toxic environment, which is why this person has all the same childhood wounds, which is why the reading started the way that it does. So it's, again, I feel like they may also feel as if that you're doing that. I feel like this person's paranoid and thinks you're going to tell everyone that I'm the bad guy because I am a bad guy, because they know what they did. They know. So there is a feeling of that, because I feel like that has happened in the past with all their other relationships. And that's the thing, is that when you're dealing with somebody that plays games, you're not going to get a good response from people that open up their heart and are vulnerable. I feel like they've created a lot of turmoil in other people's lives, like pretending that they want a relationship, not really wanting a relationship, like trying saying one thing and then figuring it out as they go, and then disposing of people, being like, oh, you know, and I don't really want this. So, and that's again their fear of attachment. There's fear of attachment that they're going to lose their life. There's fear of abandonment, because again, they come into the relationship, they overgive, they overdo, they lose themselves because they're not strong in themselves. So they create it all. So there's a sense that they know that they're the bad guy. And I just feel like what they do, because they know that they're the bad guy, is that they project. People that don't heal their shadows project. So you're always the bad guy in their story. And I feel like sometimes they vent to people and they tell people, but they tell them again a distorted version of what has happened. So again, that's how you also know that they're on a very low vibration, because people that don't talk to you about their problem and about how they feel, but then will talk to a lot of other people that don't even know who you are about their situation. And then again, with their own twist, so that they can feel smug and they can feel self-righteous and they could think that something's actually happening. There's almost like a delusional way of thinking here. And that's what will happen too when a person has a lot of like spiritual blocks and shadows and they're living from their ego. And we know that they are, because they have all these addictions and all these behaviorisms based on it. And we know why. We already know this, the substances. It's again, this person never formed an individuality. When a person doesn't know who they are, and they don't really know how to talk, they try and make themselves fit in, right? But that's the same way that they tried to as a child in that environment. And obviously it's weird. It's like it's not authentic. People feel like it's not authentic, that it's not true. So it just makes this person feel inadequate. They like almost like never learn the social skills to have. And it's still coming from those childhood wounds of overgiving, overdoing, losing themselves in whatever anyone wants them to be, until they get sick of it. And then it's like, oh, I don't want this. So almost like they meet someone and they say, you're going to fix me, and I'm going to become like you because I like what your life looks like. So it's again, let me try that. But it's again delusional, and it's delusional because they again, their addictions, they're not grounded. And I feel like it affects you. And for some of you guys, you grew up in an environment with a parent that had addiction, so it's again emotionally not available. And this person actually would not be emotionally available, and it would actually feel like you were like reliving uh reliving the dynamic that you grew up in. For some of you, you know, where it's like, oh no, like I had, like my mom was in a codependent relationship, or my dad had addictions or something like that. You're like, I don't want this. I don't want this because I see it. So it's again this person like because they don't are not emotionally intelligent, and they do drugs and or drink, or do things to avoid having to be emotionally opened and express how they feel and really be in a balanced relationship, which I feel like it doesn't feel normal to them. they can feel the stagnancy of energy, right? Because it's after a while, you're like, I don't know, why am I going to say anything? I'm not going to say anything to you because you don't do anything. This is what you do. So this person will literally start an argument in hopes that you'll soothe them. Okay, like when they feel are like again angry, but they feel angry because you're triggering them, and you're triggering them because again, you're not giving them what they want. They have again abandonment issues. And the thing is, with now you're abandoning them, they become obsessive. Become very compulsive and obsessive. And so again, they're like, well, I can't like just let it go. It's like they get really triggered where it's like, oh my God, this person like just doesn't stop. It's like the no is no. Well, this person is going to be like, well, I'm not going to say no. Again, we see that again, their behaviorisms are over the top because you can't walk around with that much trauma and suppress it for that long and be taught from that level of consciousness and never change and expect to get different life outcomes. So we see that this person like really again has huge problems. Like I feel like this person just like doesn't just start an argument, but like again, whenever they're in a bad mood, it's like they treat you like a child. They lash out. They lash out at you, they scold you, they yell at you. And that's again a sense of I'm losing control. Where that we see that second chakra when a person hasn't created their individuality again, where they don't really know who they are. They're walking around with shadows of where they feel inadequate or defective, out of tune. They don't fit in anywhere. Well, it's again, they take on the persona of being rebellious. I'd rather be rebellious and be a hard ass, and now I am going to control you and you trigger me. So this person lashes out a lot and scolds you a lot. It's again because you trigger them. You trigger them, and I feel like you're like, and I just got tired of the abuse. I got tired of the abuse. It's like, yeah, I had feelings for you and I believed in you, but this is nothing but abuse. And it is because this person abuses themselves. You know, that root chakra imbalance of neglect, you know, where they're so terrified of being neglected, but they neglect themselves, not putting their time to growing themselves. Again, escapism through addiction, through substances, through people, through codependency. And where this person just has so much inner child work that needs to be done. They just have so much that they need to do. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't have feelings. Like I said, what we see is when spirit leads the reading this way, it's going to say, like, you may pull cards that this person is really delusional, it wants a second chance, believes that they can have a second chance, like they're living a little bit of a fantasy world. But led with this because none of it will make sense because you're dealing with a person that doesn't just have one imbalance. They have a lot. They have abandonment issues, but they're also obsessive compulsive. You know, they're we have a lot of different behaviorisms, and this is what happens when a person lives in abuse for long periods of time. They compartmentalize. So there's almost like many different masks that they wear. It's like, and they strategize and they cut themselves off from their intuition. Remember, your higher self is tapped into your intuition and obviously emotional intelligence. Clear cognience is clear knowing, and that's the language of the Holy Spirit. Discernment is that, and where I feel like this person is delusional. They're living like again in their minds, reliving the same experiences because they go into every relationship looking for it, recreating that dynamic and not realizing it. And so we say again, yeah, this person feels like, again, no, like I was like, well, don't expect like if they don't like to see loving cards. This person is not feeling loving because you walked away because of the abuse. You were like, I'm not dealing with this abuse. You have too many like wounds, too many wounds, and they're old wounds, they're inner child wounds. We're not even talking about from your relationship. You've been walking around with these for a really long time, and they were harsh, harsh. It wasn't like, oh, your parents just weren't around. It was like, no, that you were like abused. You were either sexually abused, um, you were the giver, you were the fixer, you were the like, you were the parent, you were the betrayal. And that when we have betrayal, where a parent like deliberately like um doesn't make that child feel safe. Like I said, I feel like the entire dynamic of the household was that way, where again, one parent couldn't be there because they were so consumed by the other parent, but neither parent was protecting that person. So this person again isn't getting what they want, and as I said, they're compulsive. There is so again, this person wants to humiliate. They want to, like, they see you, like you said. Well, I don't know what this Zoom is, why it does what it does with this, like, but I can't figure out how to get the stupid thumbs up and the balloons and all that. But like I said, I feel like there's a sense that you walked away from this person, and in this person, it feels humiliated. They feel humiliated, and they feel like um they know why. It's again like, but there's a sense that they want to humiliate you, that they want to like ruin your reputation. I feel like this is what comes up, okay? It's like open dishonor, punishment, okay, public ridicule. Like they want to like almost like ruin your reputation. I feel like this person perceived that you were going to chase them, that you were going to do something. Again, now I don't know why they thought this, but I think because maybe you had a moment of vulnerability where you opened up to this person, but none of that played out the way that they thought. You walked away from this person. Now, this person is like, when you walked away, I feel like it amplified all their wounds, right? Because when person gets triggered, it's because someone, awakens a wound. And I feel like, this person lives by their shadows. They wanted everyone to perceive, especially you, that, they didn't really need you, that you're gonna, that that you're gonna chase them. They love the idea that you had feelings for them, but they expected you to like do more, and they thought that you would do more, and then you didn't do more. So it's almost like now it triggered their abandonment, it triggered their compulsive um it created a lot, it like activated all these wounds is what I'm trying to get at, which is why this person like said wants kind of revenge. And it's because they see it as like you're gonna make it challenging. Like they thought that this connection was gonna be so easy, and now what they see is because you walked away from them. It's like, so when I say what are they gonna do, how are they feeling, what I feel like is that right now they're not gonna do anything, because it's almost like they're shocked that you walked away, and now they're like finally seeing that you're serious. And now instead of them being like, oh wow, I messed up, they're actually mad at you, and they're like, how dare you like walk away from me, and you're like trying to humiliate me. I'm going to humiliate you. I'm going to ruin your reputation. But because you're going to make it really difficult for me. It's again, because I and also don't know what to do, because I feel like this person, like I said, has feelings like where they're like, I don't know what to do. But I have feelings for you, but I've never been put in this position before. And like they're paralyzed. Again, that's that root chakra imbalance, like that fight, flight, or freeze. And again, because this person feels inadequate, also knows that they created like the same sort of dynamic in their past relationship. They just expected you to get mad and to create this like drama. You didn't do it. You were like, I'm out. I'm not dealing with this abuse. And like I said, like I feel like they expected you to come back. You didn't come back. They neglected this connection. But in that, what they're seeing is that they neglected themselves, because like I said, what they see is that there's too many obstacles right now. There's too many obstacles, and you've created barriers to make it like difficult, where I feel like you're divinely protected. So like I said, this person is like pissed off, because it's like it's making them look at themselves, and it's also making them feel the void that's in their life, right? It's like, because they like this connection, I feel like could have really, if this person was on the right vibration, but they weren't on the right vibration. They had an opportunity. Again, they had with their free will, like I said, but they had too many options, right? So because they had too many options, they were like, I don't really wanna put in any effort. I don't think I need to put in any effort. And because of that, um, they can't really have a new beginning. They can't have it because like they don't grow. There was no growth within the connection, right? There was no growth within the connection. So yeah, like it's like they finally get it. I feel like, and they get it because it's like they're seeing it. It's not only that you said something. I feel like you obviously said something, but it's like I feel like they got the news. Okay, there's a sense of like broadcasting, right? But it's like it's almost like they finally got it loud and clear. I feel like there was a part of this person that was delusional for a long time and thought that you were going to come back, and they were playing a game, and what they see is that you're not. So what it is like because they didn't get it, it's like almost like they wasted so much time that I feel like you disconnected. And the thing is, it's like there's a sense that that you love your life, that you don't miss this person, that this person expected you to be sad. And I don't know why. I feel like, again, they were delusional from the people that they deal with, from their addictions, from living in their ego, from what they grew up in, that they've never, I don't think they've ever had anyone on your vibration like them before. So that's the thing. It's like, but all I do know is that this person is angry because they've had to revisit the past, right? They had to revisit the past. And what they see is that, you love your life, that there's a new beginning for you, that there's not really a new beginning for them, that there's a new beginning for you. And it's like, and there's no real one for them. So they're like annoyed. And and the underlying condition really is the spiritual block, the pain, the root cause of their issue is the fact that they need to heal their inner childhood wounds. Because like I said, what I see here is if they come back, they're gonna come back to pretend they want to get back together with you, but they're not going to really like put the effort in to really seriously get back together with you. And I say that because of this, right? This open dishonor, this humiliation, this like because they're angry, like you said, and the root cause, because there's an underlying cause, is again the fact that they didn't give anything to the connection. And we say, why didn't they? Again, we know why, because it was just easier not to, but there was a lot of underlining shit there. You were not dealing with somebody that was balanced. Now you may say, so why would the universe bring me a person that had all this fucked up stuff? Well, understand, we only have 7 chakras. So again, each chakra, there's a psychological and emotional meaning for that chakra, how we stay in balance. And so it wouldn't, it doesn't matter whether this person has one thing that's bad or 100 things that are bad. It's the fact that they never learned who they are. They don't know who they are. They're still coming from their trauma, their childhood trauma. There's reading opened up with that, meaning this person, you met them fucked up, where they needed to do healing and they've never done healing. And it was been so severe that they have strategized every single relationship, becoming a chameleon, becoming who they want, who they perceive people want them to. And then once they get you hook, line, and sinker, they become into who they really are. And they, again, leave every relationship in ruins. So this is not, why did it happen to me? It's this person goes to everyone. It's, so we have to say, though, like, what was the psychological thing? If there's a lot of them, though, if this person hasn't created themselves, they don't know who they are. And that second chakra is where you're going to see codependency. You're going to see balance issues where the person doesn't have any balance. They're very controlling. They have, again, that obsessive compulsive disorder. They're not someone that goes with the flow of life at all. They're not someone, and that's because they don't feel safe. They feel defective. That's why I'm saying this person came in messed up. But then you say, okay, so then why did I attract them? Like I said, there's only 7 chakras. So having a root chakra in balance could be, again, you not coming from a secure environment. So you weren't allowed to form your unique individuality. Someone told you who to be. So you, again, tend to overgive because you didn't get the love. So it could be as something as simple as that, where you have, like, again, anxious, anxiety, attachment, where you were emotionally abandoned, and where this person has avoidance attachment, which is like someone tried to control their life. So both parties weren't allowed to form their unique individuality. Just one person, like, it's usually like one person voluntarily does it, becomes the healer, the fixer, that becomes their identity. And no one's beating them to do it, but they get rewarded to do it. And that's the only way, where one person's actually made to. So the one person that just did it is praised and gets good things for it. But like I said, they're still not forming their individuality, and they're only going to do it for so long before there's a sense of, oh, I don't want to do this anymore because it's boring. No one wants to do like something forever. So like, again, this is what we see and how it's being played out, where the under energy, no energy, the person didn't put any energy into themselves, and you didn't put any energy into yourselves. Just one was praised and one was not. And the one that was praised got spoiled, and might have gotten spoiled where the parent bought them stuff all the time. So again, it was like, didn't spend any time, wasn't emotionally there at all. However, it was like what got praised, so the child learned to manipulate what they wanted, would associate things with love, and instead of people with love. And so when we think that things are what we love, a thing can't love you back. So it's really one-sided, and it's going to be very shortly lived. That's why they say you can't fill yourself with outside things like buying, which is what I feel like this person tried to do. And that's why they still are walking around with all their inner child's wounds, which, by the way, over time creates really poor health because this person's really living out of alignment with the laws of God, the laws of love, the laws of nature, the laws of the universe, which is all the energy of unconditional love because they don't like themselves, they neglect themselves. And so again, it's all suppression. It's all suppression. This person knows, I know what it is. It's just broken. And I'm not going to fix it because I don't know how to fix it. So I'm going to pretend that it's not there and I'm going to suppress it with, again, substances and with people and situations. And you just got caught in the brush fire, is what I feel like. It's like, it's what they did. And for you, suppression is an inner child wound of you weren't allowed to, speak your truth. You weren't allowed to, you know, have your unique unfoldment process because someone said, I don't like the way that that is. You shouldn't be into art. You shouldn't cut your hair. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. You should do this. So again, suppression is created also from that. So both parties were brought up in an environment that suppressed. Just one did it in a loving, like judgy way, like, well, if you don't do it, it's not really, you're not going to be seen as good. You should, go and make a lot of money and do this and do that. That's going to make yourself look good. Where instead of go out and find yourself and find what actually fills your soul, like you'll make money, but you'll also feel good about yourself and know who you are and be able to connect on a deep, intimate level with other people and have normal relationships instead of going into a relationship thinking that you need to fix them, thinking that you need to do something and lose yourself in them until you get so bored because you're so in that person's life that you've lost yourself. It's like suppression of self means that you don't know who you are. And over time, suppression turns into repression, which is repressed. And which is, I don't even know that I'm holding on to that energy anymore. And that's where the negative behaviorisms come from. So Spirit's saying you also have suppressed energy, but you're not aware of it. It's not repressed yet. Like I said, over time, it becomes repressed. The person you're dealing with has repressed energy. That's why we saw all the behaviorisms of the compulsive obsessive disorder, the detachment disorder, the abandonment issues, the not emotionally intelligent, manipulative, narcissistic. The list goes on. Because the person's fragmented, they compartmentalized, they created masks to deal with what they grew up with. So you're not that bad. You're just that suppression. So Spirit's saying, let me bring this person into your life to show you what you're suppressing. It's trauma. It's childhood trauma. Of neglect. So we're going to bring you a person that neglects you. Are you going to self-neglect yourself by being with this person? Like I said, I feel like you were like you didn't get that emotional support where I feel like in the person's like the person that tapped into you, I should say, what had that by one parent. But then the other parent that wasn't emotionally there and judgy and didn't give like did it in a different way, right? Like praised them, like I said. So there's a sense of I have to be this person in order to be loved, to be liked, where you could have that too, because again, misunderstood. where I feel like you grew up in an environment that it was just like you didn't really understand why it was the way that it was, and where you could have grown up with a parent that just was angry all the time, or parents that worked all the time, and that just didn't take, feelings seriously. Now, remember, collectively, what was going on in the environment when you grew up, men weren't allowed to express feelings. They weren't taught about living from a spiritual perspective. They were taught by the world, and the world will always make you feel limited, make you feel like you're not enough. So if you haven't created yourself, you don't know who you are, you're of course going to get into a codependent relationship, because in the beginning you lose yourself in a relationship because it feels good. You're getting emotionally taken care of, but nothing can fulfill you. That's a person. Like, a person can't fulfill you. A thing can't fulfill you. The only thing that will really fulfill you is your purpose. And that's your connection to God. It's your connection to not just God, but every single person in the universe. And that's through your soul's purpose. And so I feel like, a lot of times when we go to school and we graduate with a good job, it's like we could do great in it, but after a while, we're not really going to feel fulfilled, because we're not meant to do something forever. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't work at your job for 20 or 30 years if it's possible and you make good money, but hopefully you're evolving in other areas of your life. And if that is going to be the same, and hopefully within that job that you're working 20 and 30 years, that you're getting promotions, you're getting challenges, which is making you learn different things, right? That you're evolving with the company, so you're still not staying the same, even if you're working at the same company. It's as long as you're growing is the whole point. You can stay in the same place as long as, like I said, you're embodying a new consciousness, where I feel like your person never like embodied a new consciousness, where you did, because you walked away from the abuse. You said that this is neglect. I know what this feels like. I've seen it before. I don't care that we have a connection. It's not good enough for me. Now, you may say, why did I have to go through it? Because the whole transmutation process. And the transmutation process is to actually walk through the fire, walk through the same exact experience, but handle it differently. And that normally happens because, it's a spiritual test, it's a karmic test, and we get karmic tests right before we level up, right before there's a transformation, or whether we are like ending one phase of life and entering into a new phase of life, when and that could be someone dies, and now you have the opportunity to be free. But now here's this karmic mate. Are you going to get involved with somebody that's going to, again, give you nothing and start a new karmic cycle with an old wound? Did you learn that spiritual lesson? And what it shows here is, yes, you learned it. So you had to go through that lesson, because Spirit says, well, you always have to get the test. And then I can bring you the new situations and the new experiences that will, again, be more in alignment with who you are today. And we end where Spirit says, and always have gratitude. Again, that is the secret. Be grateful for where you are and what you have, regardless of what it looks like. And it says, I am aware of the light in my life. I direct my thoughts to the beauty in and around me. I give thanks to my God for every little thing that brings me joy. Thus, I enlighten my thoughts, riches surround me, and I appreciate all that life brings me. So again, be in a place of gratitude, because that's abundant. And so obviously being connected to a person that's lacking, well, They wouldn't, I feel like the blessings that are coming your way, and this is why Spirit's saying, if you're grateful for your life, you're not going to throw your life away on somebody that has all this, like regardless of the trauma that you went through, that you need to be grateful for what's in your life and direct your energy towards that, because more is coming into your life. And I feel like that's the trend. Like, again, something's changing, you're evolving, and like abundance is coming in. But if you were attached to this person, you might miss it. And that's why I said there's a karmic test right here. And what this says is that you passed it, because you're like, I recognize what it is. So I'm going to leave that there. Virgo, you let me know how you resonated with this one. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.